A 13-3 win on the map of Icebox for the side of Blinn. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America. And that was a map where it was completely towards the side of Blinn, full control, and it was not even, it's a map of Icebox. There's only, honestly, Van, so much that you can do. And Blinn were just hitting their shots. They were having a clean game of VALORANT, and that's how they won.
You just summarized it. Let's go to the next map.
All right.
Yeah, there's some people that are good at calculus and some people that are good at Icebox.
Yeah.
So Winthrop are really good at math. And now we get to go to a next one where we see if they're going to be good at Haven, because I want a good competitive collegiate series.
I thought, we were saying Blinn was going to win this just because of the matchups that they've had in the past, not specifically here for challenges, but in general, all the tournaments that they've had to play because you're playing in collegiate. But I did not expect a 13-3, and it really does come down to Blinn hitting their shots. I thought for a second, it was going to be Okeanos going crazy with the Jet, or it was going to be the Clove head-to-head and how much that was going to impact the game. But in reality, it ended up being one of the players that I was not really thinking much about, and it was Spaz going 22-4 at the end of the map with the Viper. Just absolutely insane.
And a lot of those on the attack side as well, and pulse plants too when he's trying to move in with the team. So it definitely shows that when you're looking at how it's not only the shots that were just landing here for Blinn Esports. When you looked at the approach of what the team was doing on that very map, Blinn were not afraid of playing aggressively, of trying to lurk on the attack, where you talked about it, Spaz getting a lot of value, but if not under defense, how forward they were on so many of these times in front of this A site, pushing forward in that spot. The quad push that we saw towards middle, the only place where they weren't as aggressive was trying to play towards long B into garage. And why would you want to do that when you could just place an opper or one player that's going to walk down that or watch down that line? It already covers those two lanes in general, from the entrance of the garage and the entrance of the long B, right? So that everybody could focus on that mid push, the A side push that Winthrop University had. Unfortunately, no real way of trying to fight back against that, because it almost looked like every single round it was a new strategy by Blinn on their defensive side. So you had to stay on your toes, and you couldn't really play your own game for Winthrop, which is, you saw them burn those timeouts so early, Lemon Kiwi.
Well, yeah, and just got to stress, 13 out of the 16 rounds, Blinn had first blood. So already the round gives them a huge advantage, because mainly they were just killing Infiltrator, who was dashing in. I felt like Winthrop couldn't really fully activate him. They were trying to take yellow box control. That's why someone like Spaz looks amazing on the kill feed here, is because he just sat at yellow box and watched them kind of flood in one by one. Winthrop, then when it came to the A side, well, they had their Viper wall set up for B for like a B fake, so then they weren't using it. First off, they didn't really sell the fake, and second of all, they couldn't use that Viper wall for A at all. So the post plans really only depended on Clove for delays, and Nasi had a couple of good rounds to salvage it for Winthrop, but this has been Blinn standing and delivering.
And honestly, this is very uncharacteristic for the individual performance of some of the players that we saw for Winthrop. Even when they're losing, you see some of the players like Silent X going crazy. We see obviously Infiltrator, who is the main topic of conversation because he's that duelist. Screwface as well, that we know very well. And all of these players were just not showing up at all. It seems like there is a bigger issue with this team, and going back to the narrative of a collegiate, it does seem like it is the nature when you have to change your roster out of nowhere. You have to play in a lot of these different tournaments for collegiate, for third parties, for challengers. You have a lot to do. So one of the points that you guys were touching on, if there was going to be any countering for this map number 1 and maybe that map number 2, but I feel like Winthrop, they just don't have any TAM bans.
I think that's where we gave a lot of praise, or at least I gave a lot of praise for Winthrop University and for any other collegiate teams that's currently playing Challenger. I guess it's these two right now, but because they're playing on so many tournaments outside of the schedule that they currently have here for Challengers, they do apply a lot of what they're trying to bring into Challengers into those collegiate games. So the practice is there. So it's just outside of the scrims. They're trying to put into like semi-official matches into tier 3, and then you're trying and apply this into a moment where you could try to bring this over to tier 2 and hopefully make it to Ascension. But now you're playing against other teams that are also in Challengers, that also have potentially, more firepower, more macros, more strategy against the collegiate teams that you're playing against. So sometimes it's not really working out into your favor. And then you have these moments where it's high pressure now for Winthrop University. You're just not able to shoot. So that's just unfortunate. It was written right there, 3, 4, and 5 for those bottom 3. And those are the players that really need to bring up those kills, because you're counting on those players as well.
And when we're looking at this map too of Haven, I do see the possibility of maybe a 2-0 for the side of Blinn. We talked about how on Haven last time when we got the chance to see Winthrop, they were running this composition with the Neon and the ISO. And Lemon, you were talking about how we've seen all across Valorant in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, we've seen either or, but seeing both for a team that has been struggling so much, I feel like that's a point of concern.
Yeah, both teams have won this map, and they're the last time they've gone to Haven, so you're feeling good. I think for Winthrop, the main thing I want to watch out for them is Silence's performance, because Silence will go from being the absolute GOAT to being at the bottom of the scoreboard. It's kind of like one or the other. Like, I think about how they faced off against Oxygen, where Silence will go 2-16 on Lotus and then top frag on Bind. And we're seeing kind of the low point of Silence in that last map, being at the bottom, but I could see him just having that wake-up call, because we were hyping up Silence to be a huge part of why Blinn was able to beat Oxygen, or why Winthrop were able to just at least make Oxygen really worried. And Silence is the guy that has to overperform, I think, to help Winthrop.
Exactly that. And just quickly, I just want to say he popped off during the MSC. When we were talking about the podcast that we're trying to do here during a tech pause, Lemon Kiwi, he was the type of player that had to replace We did going into the mid-season cup, and was able to push with his teammates to make it to the grand finals against Oxygen Esports in that grand finals and lose it 0-2. So it's not, I don't think it's necessarily just on performances on Silence. It's just trying to find a good vibe with the team.
Okay. And there's a change here. Winthrop University, as we jump into Zippo Agent Select, you're not going to be playing with the Neon and the ISO, but it's still going to be the ISO with the Jet. I like this combination a lot more on the other side for Blinn, still keeping the Neon and the Chamber. I want to see how these two compositions clash. Let's see if Blinn can take it 2-0 or Winthrop are going to take us back.
Let's go. Do we believe in the Winthrop comeback? Let us know, because Blinn are in the driver's seat and they're kind of driving off into the sunset. But hey, we get to see some Haven back in the rotation at least.
Now you have a little bit of, hey, we're trying to be like Turtle Troop or /DZ, but also trying to be at the forefront of the meta. What I mean by that is that they're copying SAT Esports composition here on Haven without the deadlock. So they're still bringing out here this ISO and a Jet, but they're putting a Cypher instead and an Omen for an extra flash. But overall, the premise around the Screwface and Infiltrator playing double duelist is potentially the same way as the other ones. But we're going to go that very quickly here. It's a split towards the C site, and that trip starting off for Blinn Esports is going to help things out.
All right, Monsi is smoked off. That IGL, though, is calling out that Winthrop are knocking at the doors, and crossing that smoke is also Silence at C-Long. The spike heading that way, but Winthrop haven't gotten a kill until this point. Blinn's back's against the wall. They have to retreat. It's only 2 left. It's Okeanos and Spaz, and it could be Winthrop taking their first pistol of the series.
Last player standing.
And it will. Nasi picking up the last kill on the pulse plant. Very well done overall with the aggression that came through on that garage. There was still some good stalls coming out here from Monsi, but the difference is that you don't have anything to follow up. Remember in the past when you're looking at the meta of this map, there was a raise that was usually combined here with the Fade to do some Fade nades into any chokes that you're trying to do. But now you're just trying to delay, and you haven't delayed long enough here, which made it very difficult for Mikey to escape when he's playing on the top of the platform the way that he did. But you saw the flash that came out from Silence all the way out from the C cubby. They know these positioning here from Blinn Esports on the defensive side, and looks like they cooked some stuff up to try to punish that very early.
Wow, Spaz just peeking, not putting the smoke in place yet, hearing the orb getting tapped. Winthrop with rounds in their favor. And 2 kills as well, smoking off double doors. Things are looking great for Winthrop. And it's just up to Okeanos. This is a brand new Winthrop that we are so stoked to see.
Yeah, like again, this is all what secondly,
planted.
this round, the aftershock that came out from Nasi was really trying to punish Mikey on the top of this platform. So I think now for Blinn Esports, they're probably gonna be like, oh, okay, they've been watching our tape, and that's what we mentioned at the beginning of the round too, or beginning of the show, where Blinn Esports, they had this victory against Dark Zero last week when they lost 1-2 in the series, but still took this map away from one of the best teams, if not the best teams, arguably, that we currently have in stage 2. So the tape is there. You don't want to change too much because it's still a novelty comp and it hasn't been fully challenged yet, and you know that it's been doing good against the best team in stage 2. So it should work now against a team like Winthrop, right? And then you see all this util really countering Blinn at the start.
So you got our full rifle round and very fast push from Okeanos to be set up at this corner thanks to the cage setup from Mikey. He has his rendezvous set up at C, so Blinn will be defending, and opening up B, though, is Winthrop on the back of that ISO wall, and smokes up. Infiltrator putting in pressure, and as Blinn flood in, Winthrop cut him at the heels. Teague's double kill made that almost winnable, but it's a 1v2 left for Okeanos on the defense. The spike hasn't been planted yet, but that's the only advantage he has to work with.
It'll be easy. The pings already came out towards sewers because of Jerk's position, so he knew that the retreat was coming back from Okeanos, so Infiltrator is going to plan it for long C, even where Jerk could play from garage to cut the rotate, or even playing all the way long because he has to play against Okeanos.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, no.
Oh, Okeanos is kind of different, and that's why Neon looks this scary in this patch, and popping the ult on the hunt, but Jerk is stoic and shoots the body too. Winthrop with 3.
You still saw the value from the Neon with the slide of how accurate it could be, and as Governor mentioned in the VCTs in Pacific, it may look easy, but there's still some skill involved to try to make sure that you land these type of shots and to have the tech coming out. But if anything, I love what we're seeing from Winthrop so far, being very quick on their executions towards this whatever site that they want to hit so far, and it's really catching Blinn off guard. There was a bit of util that was pretty good here to start the retake for Monsi, but just not enough flashes around these smokes to help out.
Great smokes, but a great first pick from Mikey at the back of C. Winthrop may just grab the orb and leave. This will give Screwface the ult. And who is the lucky winner? It's Mikey on the chamber. Screwface walls down, opponent down, and a win for Winthrop to even up the numbers 4-4. Spaz is gonna jiggle peek, knows Winthrop still wants C, and is gonna call for rotates from Blinn coming through B garage. Winthrop, do they still commit to this? They've drawn so much attention.
That ult was actually pretty good to take down Mikey, especially when it takes down the ability, so Mikey had nothing but a classic, but another smoke comes across and they haven't really been able to hit the site, so that fully counts out the ult. When you're on an eco for Blinn, you'll take that any day.
Especially after Okeanos used his ult last round. Couldn't come up with the win, but sure made Winthrop work for it. Been 3 in a row, trying to dodge the breach. Util Screwface in trouble, but the smoke's just barely covering Winthrop's tracks, and they teleport out. Winthrop will go out unscathed.
Stinger short. They have so many bodies towards this B side. There's only 20 seconds left, and you might try to do one last pump towards the C side with the trip.
Okay, Winthrop just adjusting, taking offensive options. 13 seconds left, though. They need to tango now. It's a great opening for Silence. Need to check out Log, though. Wonder if Teague is going to peek through the smoke at all, or maybe a body part, and Screwface wasn't ready. Got completely surprised, and Blinn just held on to C. And that's all they needed to do. They'll get the defuse.
Thrifty.
You sound so disappointed. Oh my god.
I mean, it looked really good for Winthrop once they actually got into the C site, because the last second pivot, I think it was still quite good, because when you're pulling back and making so much noise, you're actually telling your opponents that, hey, we're gonna, you know, stress out and then maybe make some mistakes while we're running towards the B site for a plant or the A site with less time left, and you could punish us there. But look at this, they had 4 players inside the site, perfect positioning through, and the keyest of C's is being thrown by Monsi that keeps them in towards default and allows for them to get all these kills.
doesn't Mikey have time to like aim down his sights on the op and then teleport out? Winthrop, good feet tested to go to A. Mikey is still a problem with this op, and as he was using util, he gets taken out. Winthrop stomping down the defenses at A, and it's all up to Spaz in a 1v2, but he's on the flank.
Well, Screwface came out to fight, so that all worked here, and that was one of the beauty things of having Ferpsa on this ISO for SAT Esports is the amount of kills he could get, multi-kills within a round, and gives a chance here for Winthrop to win a 2v1.
Oh, the shield has been used. Great peek out of Screwface. See if he can get Silence involved. Spaz knows where the fire is coming from. He already used his paranoia. He's gonna see if he can fake the smoke and look like he's going past and all the way around. Screwface is just smarter. 4K for him.
Very good read by Screwface, and as much as we were thrashing or trashing on his ult on that previous time on that second round, where they lost here, the stinger buy that Blinn Esports actually had, that was just last round, right? He actually already has it up. So another kill contract ready, as they're trying to potentially fight this towards the up that you have here towards sewers, or maybe any pressure towards the A site if they go for the jiggles and they spot somebody here.
Winthrop found success at A, so why not try it again? But Monsi will be peeking and hear this already. Has a prowler, as it's already gonna use that to see just how close they are at A.
No distractions.
Monsi is choosing to take a duel, but it's Teague that's the victim of the Screwface ult. And it's a bit of a dance that Teague ends up winning, and it goes the way of Blinn to shut down this entry of Winthrop. It's all up to Jerk and Silence from the shadows too, but no spike in hand. This round is cooked.
Maybe Jerk could save this.
All right, the Nightfall being invested. Teague taken.
Nope.
Not gonna happen.
Nope.
But hey, good effort.
Out of all of the players that you could have grabbed into your kill contract, you grabbed the only one that had a rifle, which was the Bulldog, in the hands of Teague, and lost that fight. Everybody was still on classics. It was a thrifty round or an eco or whatever for Blinn. They had definitely the lowest buy against Winthrop University, and somehow they converted here for Blinn. After winning against the kill contract, they already had the players rotating inside that site because of the rest of the flood that would happen behind that ult from Screwface, and they've lost it on not clearing corners.
Oh, an aggressive push. Mikey teleporting out. Winthrop are still gonna push forward past the doors, and Spaz pressured them back and did good damage. Now Rolling Thunder right through the site. Mikey's trying to hide behind the platform, and for how long? Winthrop are all stunned out. I think they got blinded by something, and then Blinn had a chance to flank, and it's got Winthrop all types of messed up. And they're panicking to get some info from the shadows, and even managed to get a plan at A. And Infiltrator still has to reconnect, and he was already low HP. Silence has to clutch.
Nice little counter Rolling Thunder too, to allow all of that chaos to go back in favor of Blinn, just keeping everybody contained into Garage. But Spike's planet, Silence is on a 3 versus 1, sees that nobody's towards sewers on the flank. It's a 3-player retake, but one of them has an op. This is doable here for Silence.
Mikey looking around, Monsi crossing, and Silence got the third one behind. 1v2 just has to protect the spike, and Silence got down to such low HP. And Blinn just be one round away from matching it, and they get to keep the op.
Yeah, the util continues to be very good here for Monsi. Some key pieces of util just to flush players out. Remember, when we talked about the first thrifty that they've gotten here on that C side, it was a C's that was towards the default that picked up 2. Then the first pistol round, when there was so much aggression here towards that Garage, great util to stall. This time around, to flush his opponents out to allow here that 2v1 to happen. If not, Silence potentially would have had won that clutch, because we know what Silence can bring to the table. And now that you're seeing here that Blinn winning a thrifty and converting and stringing 2 rounds in a row, there is going to have to be a reset on how you want to approach here at Winthrop University, because the aggression that they currently have is being fully stopped by, even if you have an op, over on Mikey and you're playing against a double tap, they break the shield and they still have bodies around Blinn to fight around the TP away to do the bait and switches. So they do have but they do have the protocol to play against this type of ISO double duelist with a jet.
I see Monty doing a lot of yapping on the Blinn side of just rallying the troops behind how do you deal with this new and improved Winthrop, especially one that they get onto site using the ISO wall of Screwface, which kind of makes it difficult for Blinn to take any aggressive defensive angles. So just deciding whether you want to really scramble on the site or do you just kind of want to give the site over and play retake. So especially with Mikey's teleporting back every now and then, need him to get the big picks with the op too.
And that op was trying to watch up on top middle and almost got another one, just like he did with the headhunter on C before.
Yeah, using the ISO wall to push up into B, at least on the right side. Blinn ready to coalesce from both sides, and Teague just gets a bit lucky, and he's even putting damage into Silence, getting him down to half health. Winthrop, well, they aren't even safe enough to play, and now the spike is out in the open. Winthrop had success on B before by just playing on top of the platform and waiting for Blinn to cross the smoke, but instead when Blinn don't cross, they just win.
Exactly. You might have wanted to correct yourself to say Blinn instead of win, but no matter what, it's still a win. Because these guys are looking really good on the defense. And the amount of times that Winthrop University this time, of course, they had the lower bias that were just trying to go for that dive into the B site that we often have seen on Haven ever since this map came out in the very beginning, or was already out when the game came out. But the low buy plants towards the B site seems to be one of the strategies that you want to try to go towards because it's easier for you to plant, get out of it, and play some pulse plant utility. But it looks like they were stopped and stalled by utility from Blinn, and Winthrop tried to fight more forward towards C and got denied right away. And look at this position here from Okeanos. This is what we're seeing Icebox all over again, right? Not afraid to be aggressive.
And Mikey got a pick at long A, and then Okeanos, they have so much map control. But now Winthrop will see if they can fight to take it back. Infiltrators on the site, but Muncie was close to the box. He thought he would have been just leaving the site, and Muncie, it's just unkillable, it seems, as Winthrop struggle. It's just Nasi in a 1v4. And this was after Winthrop took a timeout, and he just gets kicked into the dirt. Blinn are done playing around.
Monsi is just redonkulous right now with how he's currently playing inside that C site, inside that A site. When his teammate already fell down, you heard the second shield coming up from Screwface, and I thought that it was already going to be over. They even throws their vulnerability inside the A site. I'm pretty sure that actually hit Monsi, and he just stayed tucked in and just focused on finding the left side of that site because Spaz smoked out the right for him, and it was just like, I'll play a one and done. If anything, I got one with me. And he still gets both players and stays alive.
All right, Okeano's gonna try it again this time. What a great stun on the Screwface. First blood for Blinn. And Okeanos with the quickest rotates. You really needed to see the full value of this Neon. How they could use the aggression to their advantage. And Winthrop will get an orb out of this. It's not gonna get them any important ults, but they'll cut noise. Now that they have sights, Spaz will jiggle peek, and Catchy gets hit by the breach. Util manages to teleport out and gets kills as Winthrop. We're on the chase. Nasi will do his best, but it's all up to Silence, and it was all going to be chalked with kind of the weaponry that they had anyway. But Silence is kind of crazy. You can tell he's been in the ISO, the training room. He's got 2. 1v4. The job is a little bit easier now. He's already been pinged by Monsi, and he has the spike. Plenty of time to see. And also just sell if he could be going to B, but Monsi has eyes on Garage. And Mikey with the op doesn't want to be the first to step up. Also, they're smoked off.
And that's info on both because of that Prowler. But both of them are choosing to fight towards the back of the site.
Great teamwork.
Yeah, and that's you nailed it. great teamwork that continues out here for Blinn. Not only that is just the approach that they currently had. Remember the first 3 rounds where we commended Winthrop University for being very, very quick, very aggressive, and really catching Blinn off guard. Now Blinn, they're not allowing Winthrop University to get too much space at the very beginning so they could do these type of executions. Look at the pushes coming down from the left side of the Neon, the right side with the Fade, the op that's coming out here from the chamber that's just everywhere here. That's not giving a chance for Winthrop to get the best value, even on the shield. And now you're already seeing it as well. Winthrop University, you have no choice. They're realizing that this is happening, and you might have to pull out the shield, the double tap at the beginning of every single round, which then means you won't have too much to work with if it cools down and Blinn are not being as aggressive.
I think Spaz is ready to throw smokes or even a paranoia down, but to just delay Winthrop is so important. From the shadows being used, information on the site, breach. Util from Teague, thinking Winthrop were pushing in. 1v1 Screwface versus Teague. Teague is just different in the ISO. But Winthrop stepped forward and they put a pretty good dent into the defenses of Blinn. Jerk, the sole survivor. They 1v1 against Okeanos, who's not going to use the ult, not for this one. Has a rifle and trusts his aim, but Jerk is better.
Did I hear a set of phantom shots before he even peeked out towards the C-Link? So I don't know if he just reactionary tried to shoot the trip. I was like, oh wait, it's already down. But he gave his position away and still won that fight. That you're gonna have to be very happy for Winthrop University that Jerk is the one to get it done here for Winthrop, at least in that clutch. If not for the rest, you've mentioned it. Teague has been so aggressive, not afraid to play against Screwface in the domain expansion, even running in front of the shield and just going face front against Screwface and winning those fights. So disrespecting the ISO. There's still confidence here to try to close this out here in the last round of the half.
Great one way. It's Winthrop. We're gonna have to go up against Mikey, who's been, usually teleporting back in those one and done positions. Winthrop are just having all their options shut down, even with double doors now open. With all the noise they made, they might as well try an angle that they haven't pulled the rotations on.
I'll stay safe. They're just trying to play it a little bit more cautiously this time around. It makes sense because you have so many ults to work with.
Infiltrator already checked left, above, and beyond, and well, there was more than one on the site. Blinn taking down Infiltrator is huge. Rolling Thunder, what is the reaction? Winthrop with kills, but no spike planted. And Okeanos zipping and zapping away. Nothing much for Winthrop to do or say with Okeanos doing all that.
So good. I mean, you saw the Nightfall going towards the A side that forced Winthrop to just start executing towards C because they've realized, okay, well, Blinn is going to have all this information anyways. We have to try to hit towards that C site. But the amount of times that Spaz has been TPing across, avoided the Rolling Thunder right there, as you just saw on the screen. But he just goes towards the platform and has the most impactful kills to make it so difficult for Winthrop to get true value on any of their executions. He's only 3 kills, but he's at 13 assists, a lot of those around paranoia and body damage to allow here Blinn to have such a strong defensive side. And when you're looking on a map like Haven, a 3-sided map, kind of like Lotus at the get-go, it's still favoring the attack side at the beginning here, and especially with this comp that you currently have, you could be very oppressive on how you're going to execute with this comp.
And Winthrop played at such a high pace on the pistol, and that's how they had a decent start. I think scrounging up 3 or 4 rounds at the beginning, and that's why this half looks as close as it is. So Winthrop could really use a pistol round of Blinn. I think they've settled into this map, and they've already adapted and overcome most of the rounds against Winthrop and the later rounds. Just Screwface holding close and sneaking up on Mikey. And where's the retaliation? Muncie doesn't want to swing off of that, not knowing how many more Winthrop members are around the corner.
Fake cleared it, so that's just going to be the execution of Blinn towards the A site and fight against the Cypher. And trying to see what they can do here. They're going to try to create a diversion while the rest are working towards the C site. It's working out. Okeanos gets a kill, he can pull away, and he made it out with 100 HP still. And they've damaged Infiltrator in the process, and they'll have an open B or C, just depending on these kills that Monty here's a rotate.
Omen killed.
Okay, Monty will get
Beautiful.
one, and what a paranoia from Spaz. I was worried. I was thinking, yeah, they're selling the fake at A, but the spike hasn't made much headway, but catching the rotates is everything, like you said.
Enemy remaining.
Infiltrator and Jerk just can't seem to find a good lane to maneuver when Blinn are reading them like a book.
It's going to be one of those moments where Winthrop is going to be like, oh, crap. Here we go again. Just like Icebox. They're leveraging all the space, all the time in their favor to work the map and break our ankles. So Winthrop University, yes, it started off well with how they pushed down towards middle to get that first punish from Screwface right here. But he was, once again, one and done. If he gets picked off, that's potentially just a push towards the B side or whatever. What I'm trying to get to is they're not adding more bodies to try to get more map control when this happens. So they have to really figure out the pacing that they want to bring here in this fight. And they're going to try again. I mean, Screwface looks like he wants to walk down towards middle another time with the same type of support from Nasi and Infiltrator. Will they be more aggressive with Screwface here to fight? Answer is no. Bye, Screwface. You're alone, and at least they'll help out Silence on the C site.
But does that inspire him to go any deeper than that point? All that mid control, Blinn with first blood, Okeanos, he's doing it again. And even the walls to just make it look like Blinn could have committed into C to get Winthrop moving and panicked. But Blinn behind smokes are gonna disengage, and Winthrop will keep eyes on C. Where do Blinn go to next? Screwface is not gonna hold that courtyard anymore.
We're at the minute mark where we're just trying to find the information. So late Prowler rather, at the minute mark to clear out under window. And we realize now that there's still no aggressive pushes from Winthrop. So the stack is somewhere, and they're just going to try to gamble it to be, hey, let's do a 5-player hit towards C and see what happens.
Oh, and that concuss, I think, got Nasti. Shields up for Screwface. Great crossfire from the defense. Brings Blinn down to 4. Off of Teague's contact. They overwhelm Screwface. Spaz does well in the smokes. Winthrop just have Silence in a 1v3. But you have Spaz down to 21. Monty to 32. Silence,
Sure shot.
the one shot he needed to hit. But Blinn with back-to-back rounds.
Yeah, 2 body shots would have been huge there, and at least it was a great idea from Winthrop University. As I mentioned, Blinn is like, okay, well, we don't really know where the stack is happening so far, and we don't have an opportunity to do late recons or knives with no scan initiators, with the exception of a closer range with the fade. So let's just try to go for a C-side hit. We have power of numbers, we have the weaponry, but then when that cage was popped up from Winthrop towards the back of the site, and there was 3 players there on top of the Niso shield, nobody was clearing towards back platform once again, which allowed here just Nasi to get a lot of good value.
Good dodge on the stun or the flash and Silence. Tried to slow him down with the smoke. But there are no brakes on this Blinn train. Okeanos finally deal with some troubles. Monty will pick up the reins, even with the ISO wall. Blinn just walk around it so well. Take full control of that site and the round.
Yeah. Second time that corner wasn't checked. There was an opportunity once again to get good value out of Nasi in that position. Yes, there was a lot of util that was stunning him, but that wall that came out from Neon kind of like just saved him for a bit. But then finally we had more players coming in behind that the Neon wall, and you saw everything happen towards the end. Monsi continuing to be so good here on this initiator. I'm going to keep talking about him so far in this game. He's really popping off here to be one of the main supports around Teague, to support all of these plays coming out around Okeanos and Mikey. They're doing such a great job. Like, all of this team looks like a unit.
The flash is so gross.
Yep.
The teamwork from Blinn is just to be admired. And even with Screwface calling for Infiltrator to help push mid, he got lucky that one round, getting a pick. They really could have kept pushing from there on out. But Blinn in a 5v3, just no one can stop them. Jerk, well, he catches Okeanos zipping by. What a shot with the Sheriff.
At least that's 2 weapons that they could pick up here in the pulse plant. But again, Blinn working across the map all around the area. Yes, they'll hear the rotate towards the A site, but it's still a perfect timing for Spaz to get the backstab.
Spike going down at A. Silence smoked off too, and he could be going up against Spaz. It all depends on timing. Spaz coming through all the way the defenders
Last
spawn.
player standing.
Could be just, yeah, gets the backstab. Now Jerk on the other side of the world.
They'll know.
They gotta know he's there because wasn't supporting his teammate. Now Teague with the jiggle peek, Spaz in heaven. Jerk is just in the worst situation possible. And Blinn are 2 rounds away from locking this 2-0 down.
At least Jerk landed some nice shots. That's something that's you'll take out of it, at least for that round for Winthrop. Totally denying the overdrive from Okeanos and landing a second nice kill coming through there. But that plan, I mean, that just flashing out and fully swinging out, just a standard thing that they could do against the anti-eco that they wanted to try out. And you just mentioned, they're looking so good here, attack-wise, macro-wise, and they're definitely looking a lot more composed as a unit overall for this team. Week after week, they're still showing that they're definitely one of the top contenders now in Stage 2 in that mid-pack to really maybe do some sort of surprising run in the playoffs if they can.
Face your fear.
Winthrop need a good momentum round, but with the nightfall behind Monsi, with Blinn flooding into the site, Winthrop just hope to retake. They're already peeking around corners. Jerk gets 2. Screwface adds to the equation. Blinn go toe for toe though, and they are in the weaker state at the moment. Spike will be planted. Jerk got eyes only for a second, knowing that both Blinn members are on the site. Infiltrator with this slow, careful peek with no help. They're all just staggering into Okeanos. See, to really check his posture. He's looking for the ace. And Jerk, he's gonna deny that one and get a 4K of his own. What a round.
Jerk once again. Okay, he is basically Nasi from the previous round, being like, if somebody's gotta do it, I'm gonna do it. And that was a huge round being pulled out there. And I was gonna mention, like, if they've lost that round for Winthrop, where is the communication? Where is that teamwork? To have a camera come up and not trying to swing off the camera to get information. They've used it to figure out, oh, okay, yeah, they tapped the spike. Yeah, they're planning. Okay, cool. But what are they going to do around that camera, right? And then they just peeked out one by one, got picked off, and then Jerk had to go. Heroic moment at that point there for Winthrop University to keep it alive. They need to iron it out to look much cleaner than they are right now if they want to stand a chance here to win this second map to upset Blinn and try to bring it into a third map.
Screwface has his ult and usually he's gone for that early against Okeanos. I'd be shaking in my boots, and Screwface he only won 1 duel, I think, at the beginning of the game, and he's struggled ever since. But Blinn,
oh my god.
A double kill out of Spaz. Mikey picks up another. Winthrop only have Jerk, and he didn't even have time to use the neural theft, and this will put Blinn to match point if Jerk doesn't clutch.
And that's where it gets annoying, where you see that the pressure is coming into Winthrop University. It came out from an ult, and Infiltrator still couldn't get the op kill onto their opponents coming out of the kill contract. That is just unfortunate here, and yeah, you're gonna have to save this weapon. There's no choice. I mean, look at the economy. There's no way you're gonna be able to clutch a 4 versus 1 when there's 3 players playing crossfire setup all over A. You're hoping that Jerk with this rifle, as he just did a couple of rounds ago, is going to be able to save the round. But I'm not sure. I feel like Mikey saw him. I think it's over. Oh, yeah. Oh, never mind.
Come at me, bro. Mikey gets tagged. Camera sees him still at the corner. Spike goes off, and okay, Monsi gets Jerk. 6 feet under, along with the rest of Winthrop, 1 round away for this series to be over. And a lot of good ults are coming up. Yeah, I think Screwface just, the kill contracts are not killing. It's not giving.
Yeah. It's one of those contracts that the NDA gets easily broken at this point. And you can just unleash all the secrets, which is basically, hey, this is how we're currently playing defense for Winthrop University. Please take advantage of us. And then the C's came down right at that spot with the aftershock. The util continues to be pristine for Blinn Esports. And map series point, Spaz watching the push. Okeanos with support as well. And here it comes.
Oh, Keanu's ready to melt against the knives. And Infiltrator gets stunned up.
He ran out of bubble
Ran out of... Really got to go and recharge that battery. Oh, Keanu's. The red carpet.
Gosh.
It's down. He's just paving the way for that Blinn sweet old victory with a flawless round.
You just saw Okeanos is just charging up the lawnmower, and it took a long time with sputtering, sput, and finally, once he gets it rolling, gets a 4K out of that one and just mowing everybody down. That was a very nice little flashy last round to end the series here for Blinn Esports, but it definitely was a story all along here, Lemon Kiwi. The story of just Blinn Esports looking much better, macro-wise and micro-wise against their opponents, microwaving their opponents too.
I gotta appreciate, yeah, especially that. Okeanos, they needed to put a stop to him, and it looked less like the Okeanos show. It was more of a brawl at some points. Winthrop, I think, had a nice mental reset between the maps, because then they won the first pistol. They got some momentum, a couple of rounds. I think they started off 3-1, and then there was a timeout, and a couple of rounds got taken back from the Blinn side. I think it was great reads, realizing that the Cypher was playing over at A, and then you just keep running it down at C, and the Cypher wasn't a problem anymore.
100%. And again, like, yes, they had a great start to kick things off here for Winthrop on their attack side, but everything in general was just Winthrop just letting that slip, giving too much map control, giving up too much of that map, rather, against their opponents, and Blinn just looked so good overall. I mean, yes, you've mentioned the amount of kills that came through, but just overall the amount of util. I can't wait to see like the full scoreboard on VLR, but you'll definitely see so many assists coming out from the initiators and also their controller here, Dendriad.
Yeah, it was the 2-0 that ends up taking place. Our prediction is right here for Blinn, and honestly, the thing here is that Blinn just had full control of this game, and that's something that we saw in a way that didn't even seem like it was difficult. We never saw Blinn having to adapt to what Winthrop was doing. It was just playing their own game, even towards that last round. It was so chaotic. It's so their style that's the way that they win Vans, and again, it is what we expected. I did expect at least the maps to be closer, but it's a Blinn that does seem to be levels above what Winthrop is right now.
The only adaptation that Blinn Esports had to do was realizing on the defensive side on the first 3 rounds of how, there was some tape on how to play the defensive setup, and that Winthrop University was trying to take advantage of that on the amount of C hits and C splits against the positioning that you had from the chamber on the top of the platform, and then you had your Monsi inside garage as that fade to just try to play delay and play that big. But as soon as that was realized, you saw that the op went towards the A site, and you had just a jump spot from the Omen, fault lines coming out from the breach, and the adaptation that came on Blinn's side just showed them a much stronger defensive half towards the end. Not 7 rounds on the defensive side on Haven is not something to laugh at. This is actually a very good defensive half for Blinn Esports, because you saw the rest of it unravel here on the attack. Yeah. So what Blinn had was great adaptation on the fly. What Winthrop unfortunately did not have is that. At least they had players that had heroic moments to try to get some kills and win some rounds, but as a unit, it was not there.
I liked what Spaz did. I think he had I know the scoreline isn't the top of the charts like the last map, but what he contributed to delaying those C pushes, because that's what Winthrop wanted to hit so many times. And whether it's the one-way smokes, the jiggle peaks, like Blinn, I think Spaz maybe peaked once, got first picked, and never made that mistake again. And that's what you can appreciate about Blinn, is those examples of adaptations.
Also, can we talk about the 409 ACS that Okeanos just got? Because that's just right there. I'm staring at it, and we're not talking about it. I think, I love this meta with the Neon. I think it's amazing because it sets up players like Okeanos for success the way that we saw in this map where, we talked about it for Blinn. They were just playing their own game. They were playing the aggressive style that they wanted to bring with the Okeanos. And then you have a player that is so good on the agent. It looks great, Vans.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And even then, especially seeing that 409 ACS, I was actually quite surprised. Not because it was just not Okeanos' show, but I didn't get to feel like I was talking about Okeanos too much in that game because I was just looking at how much the utility was so good around Okeanos to support him to get all of that. What's not showing here on the assist column, let's look through it. You have 15 assists for Teague, you have 10 assists for Monsi, and then you have 18 assists for Spaz. And yes, Smokes maybe is going to give you assists here and there, but you've definitely seen within the rounds that Spaz had some great paranoias that allowed like entries and situations that Monsi even got picks off these lurks. So there's definitely great value that allowed Okeanos to play the best Neon game at this point. It was such a nice team effort from this squad. I'm not going to knock anything away from Okeanos. It wasn't like a Jogimo VCT type of like Neon that we just saw from the last weekend, but at least it was still there overall to take advantage of the utility that was around him to make sure that he just plummeted and owned Winthrop.
And before we went into this match, we were really hyping up, you know, the Okeanos versus Infiltrator, where this really was just the Okeanos match to watch. I think Infiltrator looked better for Winthrop on the second map, you know, dashing in. I think the issue is that once he would dash in and have smoke, he really didn't have enough time to kind of assess the site. There really isn't a lot of information they could have gathered based on kind of the initiators or their comp setup that they had. So it kind of in this clip, like Infiltrator is getting hit by util. There isn't that follow-up, and when he would dash into site, it wasn't just like a 1v1. He would be in a 1v2 and a 1v3, and he would just lose that entry fight every time, and not really his fault, but it was just great defense out of Blinn, especially on the C site.
It seems like Blinn have everything to continue winning as well. That next match that they have is going to be against Dobros, who have also had, I mean, they had the same wins and losses that Winthrop had, and it's a team that has the same kind of struggles when you sometimes see individual performances, but then it's just the team effort of Blinn that is what is being and allowing them to win so much. So I mean, for Blinn, it looks great. A team that we didn't even expect to see towards the beginning of the year, and they're coming up with being the favorite in collegiate, being the favorite for the collegiate matchup here in Challengers, being the favorite for a lot of those third parties. And I love to see this. I love to see these new faces with a mix of Okeanos that we've known for so long, Vance, and continuing to get this.
That's the cool part, because we mentioned at the beginning of this matchup where Blinn just like almost came out of nowhere and started dominating here the collegiate scene, where in the past you're talking about like Fisher or Northwood or even Winthrop at this point. But when you're looking at, for example, Northwood, 3 of those players are already over at SAT Esports, right? So you're definitely seeing a lot of these collegiate players finding like a path to pro, not only just into like their collegiate teams, but even then through collegiate finding opportunities getting picked up into a challenger scene, even if you're not representing a school at this point. So to get to continue on my point is just to say that now that you have Northwood, a dominating squad over a collegiate, most of them playing it within SAT Esports, then you're definitely going to see like more resurgence coming out here of Blinn Esports, of getting more reps coming in, of getting more opportunities to shine here in that collegiate scene, and now having a chance to do so in challengers.
I think this is also a big meta-changing patch with these duelists getting buff, and there are some teams that are quicker to adapt to those. There's especially like Neon. It really definitely fits the playstyle of Okeanos. They're comfortable on that already, while as Screwface and just ISO in general, it's a feast or famine, and really needing to nail down those kill contracts and to get those first bloods, because I think this would be a whole different game if Screwface would just have the edge in those fights.
I think honestly, Screwface, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday for the start of this week, number 5. Screwface has had a lot of pressure to deal with these couple of different teams and joining Winthrop. And in a Winthrop that, as we know, collegiate, they have to go through a lot. They have to do a lot. And you, at the same time, you want to be the best in every single one of those tournaments that you're making it to. So a lot of pressure to deal with for these new additions. Even Silence, who has been so great for other teams, and then you come in, you're trying to adapt, and that's when things get a little bit more difficult. Okay, but this is pretty much the end of this match. It seems like the interview is ready for the winner of Blinn. We're gonna have Spaz on the interview. So Spaz, congratulations on this win. I want to talk a little bit about what's been your path of collegiate. You've been part of Blinn since 2022. That's a crazy long time. And you've seen the best collegiate teams that used to be Northwood, Winthrop, taking those wins. And now you are the best collegiate team. what does it feel like to get to that level, and especially from the beginning of your career here?
I mean, it definitely feels great. I've been grinding for a long time, and I'm glad that I was able to actually find the teammates who share the same passion as me and want to work as hard as I can. So I'm glad I found that mix with the people I have.
It's a team that we've talked about it on the cast, on the desk. You guys look like their synergy is absolutely there. We see in the compositions, we see in the ways that you're winning these crazy matches. And I want to ask something specific about today. You had an insane performance on Icebox. You had, I think, 22 and 4. It was crazy. And for the Viper as well. That's not something that we see very often. Are you just very comfortable in Icebox? Was it the team? Was it the vibes? What was it?
It was definitely the team and the vibes. We kind of have a little bit of a quote-unquote rivalry with Winthrop, at least, because we're like considered the 2 best collegiate teams, or we were at least. And so we try as hard as we can every time we play them, that's for sure. So I definitely was hitting some shots, it felt like, and my team was able to support me.
And because you know these collegiate teams so much, and we know how often some of the rosters have to change for collegiate, I want to know your thoughts a little bit on what's been the addition for Winthrop with Screwface and Silenx. I feel like individually we've seen them do really good, but was that ever a point of concern for this match?
It was definitely a good addition because they were definitely missing out on IGL, and I think that Screwface is a perfect addition to that. Because I actually played a couple tournaments with him when he was playing on his Ultimate Bear Pig. And so he's definitely a good vibe master, so I'm glad that he was able to help with the team. And then for Silenx, I know I played against him when he was subbing for Turtle Troop, and he was definitely raw dogging us, that's for sure. He was putting us down, and they have some good fragging power over there now.
Yeah, definitely individually. But I mean, you guys still take the win, and you play really good individually and as a team. I also want to know a little bit the behind of why we're seeing this composition on Haven. You're playing the Neon and you're playing the Chamber with the addition of the Fade. You know, before the Haven went away, we're seeing a lot of Sky. So I want to know why this composition works out for you guys.
The reason we play the Fade in the Chamber along with the Neon is so that the Fade can... Because we see a lot more Cypher nowadays compared to Killjoy ever since she got nerfed on Haven. And so we're dealing with it by sending the Neon to follow the Fade dogs, like so that the dogs break the trip. And then as for the Chamber, like Neon isn't necessarily like an op character, you can, but we felt that if we had a Chamber who was able to get like deeper lines and we can overstack with the comp, then it would help us a lot more. And as you can see, it worked.
Yeah, we definitely get to see the multiple layers of this map and these ideas that you have, and that's how you get the win. I have one more question for you here. The last match of the split is going to be against Dobros. How are you feeling about them?
Feeling pretty confident. We know for sure we need to get our round diff up, because even though that we're even with 2-2, I mean, I'm sure we're up now. We had a negative round diff, and so we feel we just need to do what we did today on that day as well against Dobros and do as best as we can.
Yeah, I think you guys are favored for that match for sure. You've gotten some crazy wins, so I feel like it's going to continue to go that way. Congratulations once again, Spaz, on this win. This is everything that we have for the post-match interview, but we have one more match today. Is going to be a crazy one. That's going to be Oxygen against Dark Zero. You're not going to want to miss it. Both of the teams undefeated. We'll see you after this break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
And it is time for the match of the week. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America. This is week 5, and we're about to watch great VALORANT. It's going to be Oxygen Esports going against Dark Zero, previously Turtle Troop, both of the teams undefeated on Group A and Group B, respectively. So I think this is going to be great. Vans, bring your popcorn because we're about to watch some cinema.
Exactly.
Oh, he already has it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I had it the whole time. You just stole that punch away from me. No, that's why great minds think alike. We got cast ourselves going through. This is going to be an awesome game, to be honest. Dark Zero going up here against Oxygen Esports, two teams that are on the top of the chart so far in Stage 2, undefeated in Stage 2, as we mentioned at the very beginning, but especially with these standings, the differential is not that far off between whoever they had to compete against, but they're definitely here going pretty much neck and neck in a race to see who's going to be at the top.
And it can be any of these two, but something to clear up that you might not see in this table that we're looking at right now is that Oxygen is undefeated not only in matches, but maps as well, while Dark Zero, they have lost a couple of maps, and it's okay, Lemon, because you're still winning.
Yeah, and the banner buff. Now you're under Dark Zero. You're not just a troop of turtles, but now they lose the green logo. They lose the green logo, but they're going up against Oxygen, who have been at the very top. I think Turtle Troop have always harassed the top, and now that they're under a banner, someone believes in them, and they got to go in with a lot of trust, a lot of confidence against Oxygen, who have been peaking in Challengers.
If anything, about damn time. Thank you so much, Dark Zero, for taking care of Turtle Troop for sure. I just got a popcorn stuck in my throat.
Yeah, we could tell. We could tell.
But at least one cool thing that's on the jersey as well from Dark Zero is that they actually do have the old Turtle Troop logo on top of that as well. So I love that they keep the OD into like respecting how long of a grind it's been for a team like Turtle Troop to look to get signed up within since last year, right? There was rumors that they were supposed to be picked up by somebody else, and that fell through, and kind of like since then they kind of went into limbo. So yeah, I just gotta once again give big props and a big thank you to Dark Zero to give a chance here for Turtle Troop to have, like, you know, probably a boot camp area, because back then when I was watching like Rainbow Six or following Dark Zero a bit in the Rainbow Six days and early Valorant, I think that was also a roster. I might be wrong off this one as well, but at least they had like boot camp areas in Las Vegas where they actually had the team come over there and practice and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this as well.
No invite. But anyway,
I know, right?
I'm in Vegas. That's the joke. Anyway, the other fun thing is that this is a rematch of the grand final from the midseason cup where Oxygen won 2-0. So they have a sort of deep rivalry where they were called Turtle Troop at the time, obviously, but same rosters and I think a different meta with this patch with how important Neon and ISO are becoming.
And we're going to see if these two teams are going to bring it, because we get the chance to talk about Oxygen Esports first. And Oxygen, they're a team that have a lot of layers to their ideas and how they want to play around these maps. But Redux is just the GOAT of Jet and Raze. So it is one of the teams that you really need to think about how much you want to play into the new agents, into the new duelists that are into what everybody else is playing. Because this is the way that they've been undefeated, just playing the way that they've been doing before Vans.
Yeah, it's just Scuba coming out here as a clove on this map. They're just able to shoot. They're able to have great macros, great read on the fly against our opponents too. I think Bonkar as our coach as well is adding a lot of value to this roster. And overall, like, these timeouts have been very, very successful for the team to be able to fight. And I think we keep hyping it too over, you know, the IGL fragger, as Mitch, maybe not always on the top of the chart in terms of fragging, but at least he's able to put some great impacts in some rounds, and also has a plethora of agents that he plays to make sure that he's able to support and does what he needs to do so that the rest of the players around him, the young fraggers, the zoomers, are able to bring up those numbers so that they can get these dubs.
Speaking of zoomers, I mean, Redux is the youngest player in Challengers, and he has that zoomer aim. And man, Dryad, you always have a fun time when interviewing him. I think he has the most legendary Challengers interviews, but he really hyped me up when he was talking about his excitement about Neon entering this patch. And we haven't actually seen Oxygen mess with any Neon or ISO. They're like really waiting to perfect their strategies. I mean, it's only been 1 week. They've only played 1 week on the patch, but I'm wondering if is this going to be the match that Oxygen pull out all the strats, because I think this is the match to prepare for. It's against another undefeated team.
It's another undefeated team, but obviously Oxygen is looking better. They are the favorites to win this, but we don't really know what's going to go down when these two face each other once again. So let's talk about Dark Zero now, because this is a team that has been looking pretty good. They are one of those teams that even before, I mean, towards the beginning of the year, they were playing with the Neon. Corey was playing the Neon a lot on Lotus, and now it gives him an excuse to go back and play it in a way that makes more sense. He was very honest about how when they were playing the Neon here before the buff and before everything else, he was talking about how it was more like a Neon just go die, create space, and then hope that the rest of the team is able to close it out. But now it's a Neon that can also frag out Vans, and I think that's great.
On top of that, on top of fragging out, but they've also been like the ones that are showing like the real value of Deadlock more and more, because now you're starting to see not only Deadlock in Challengers, but you're starting to see Deadlock being played even more here at the tier 1 level in the VCTs for Americas, for EMEA. So I think it's again once giving credit to the IGLing and the mind that's behind Stellar, for example, coming back from 100 Thieves, playing that tier 1 level, and now as a group vibing out and also figuring out all these cool strategies now and having the opportunity of being picked up by Dark Zero now. And last thing I wanted to fact check myself is because I thought Drone did play for Dark Zero in the past when they first initially joined the roster and then had the or joined the scene in Valorant and had the boot camp area in Las Vegas, and Drone was part of that roster. So that's really cool.
And you look at these names of players that can potentially go crazy in the duelist roles, whatever is going to be, whether there's going to be the Raze and the Jet as we're used to, or maybe the ISO and the Neon as we already got the chance to see Corey do. But these are also the names that you can see most likely, very likely, I would say, in VCT at the very top next year. I feel like especially Redux, we always talk about him because this is a young player that's coming in, is 17, is going crazy, is the favorite right now in the team to win Ascension. So there's a lot of eyes on players like Redux, like Corey, and like the organizations of Dark Zero and Oxygen Lemon.
Yeah, Corey is also the one to watch because he just works so well with the rest of his team as a duelist. He's not like instantly aggressive, like he's not just W key only and just chases kills. He really works off of his initiators and also his IGL of Stellar. And I think Redux is such a young player, but he just brings so much fire. I could tell he like talks smack every time he like kills somebody, and that type of player that rides off of emotion can be really enabled when things are going well. But how does someone like Redux, how does someone like Corey deal with the pressures of losing against the team that you've spent so much time preparing for? And I've known Corey from even beyond the Valorant days, and he's always been such like a positive influence on his team and also one to make the big plays. So this is the matchup to watch out for.
It is the favorite match, and I get a lot of people around. Everybody wants to know, the people that don't really keep up with the tier 2 us match, or they're watching other regions. Everybody asks, who's their favorite for Ascension? Who's their favorite for Ascension? It can be either of these two, maybe these two right now. I would say not only for North America, but I think in general, the teams look amazing. And it's just the individual players looking so good together, and the whole team having a plan A, B, and C to work around. Also, something that you talked about, Lemon, that I want to add on to as well, is that we saw these Redux early on in the split 1, super confident, kind of a little bit of an ego, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But for the second split, they said, and it was Redux specifically saying, we're not going to have an ego. We're just going to go into any match thinking that we can win or lose. And that has really changed because this is how they've been undefeated events.
Yeah, for sure. But that, still at the same time, that's my question mark as well, because we've mentioned like a different type of patch, and now you have an opportunity to maybe use a little bit of like an advantage by starting to pull out a little bit of that Neon in the ISO. And it's not really necessarily a composition or a team where I could be like, oh, I could see this person currently play a Neon, or currently play a Jet, a Neon or an ISO, just because Redux is already so good here on a Jet and still getting great value playing a Raze. Are they going to be falling behind potentially, though, if they have to play against a team that's going to be potentially more revolutionary, in their compositions in Dark Zero? And I'm still waiting for that to find out, because they haven't really been beaten yet by still playing a traditional way of Valorant.
And that's a question how this Valorant is gonna play out today. Is it gonna be new ideas, both of the teams trying to surprise each other, or is it gonna be a little bit more of the same that we watched at least of last week when we got to see the new patch already live for these players and them trying out these couple new things like the neon that we saw for the side of Corey. But honestly, it can go either way. It can really depend on the maps and how they're gonna go, even in the momentum a little bit. I feel like the old Turtle Troop, a lot of the maps that they won were a lot of momentum that they were able to get, especially when you get momentum against Oxygen. That is the fire that you need, Lemon, to maybe bring this upset.
Yeah, and just to correct that, it's not the same rosters than the mid-season cup because Silence has moved on. So beyond that one thing, Oxygen are the ones on the throne here, and it's Dark Zero, although also undefeated, that have to go up against the final boss of Challengers. But Turtle Troop, what's been so fun, why they're one of the funnest teams to watch, is because of kind of their iteration on the meta, and now they're already, you know, deep into trying out Neon, and I don't think ISO quite yet. While as Oxygen, I don't think that pulled the ace out their sleeves. So I feel like there's such an element of unknown where you have this kind of Redux that is very confident, that has talked about how excited he is to try out the Neon, and we haven't seen it yet. So I'm fully expecting once we get into the match, once all our players are connected, that we could see a Neon matchup.
Yeah, as you're mentioning, we're making sure that other players are ready to go. So we're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have the match ready.